Hey, good evening, Midwest Survivor. Time for dinner chat. So, tonight, cooking some carrots and some broccoli and a chicken thigh. And I would just like to say thank you for all of you that are viewing the YouTube channel and the Facebook posts, the TikTok videos, and the Instagram. So, thank you all for that. Continue to support, continue to like, continue to hit that bell, continue to subscribe, and I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Uh, you know, one thing I thought about is that I started writing these books, and I'm going to be working up I'm working up an idea and manuscript for a fifth book called Blood on the Altar, and there'll be more details to follow on that. But tonight I want to talk about why people stay in toxic relationships. Sometimes people grow up in situations and it's all they know, literally. Mom and dad were like that, grandma and grandpa were like that, so on and so forth. The generational cycle, so to speak. And the common misconception among people that have never lived there and never lived in this situation is, if it is so bad, why don't they just leave? And that is a very hard question to say, and a hard statement to make if you have never lived it and you don't understand emotional, verbal, or even physical abuse. And people stay for a whole myriad of reasons. Sometimes it's all they know, so it's what they do. The psychological and the emotional and the environmental kind of just take over, because if all you know is the sum total of your entire life without expanding your mind and expanding your horizons, and it's all you know, literally, then you're not going to be apt to try something new or do something different. If it's all you know, if it's all you grew up with, then it's comfortable to you, kind of like an old shirt or an old pair of shoes. The main other reason that people do this is they have sometimes they're philosophical, and their hope is that maybe one day it'll get better, maybe over the next hill it'll be better, maybe the next podcast they listen to, they'll see the light, maybe the next conversation, or whatever that may be. That is what people hold on to. They hold on to hope. They hope that things will get better. And let me just say, there's nothing wrong with hope. Hope is an amazing thing. As Tim Robbins said in The Shawshank Redemption, hope is a wonderful thing, and it is the best of all things. And sometimes deep down, the other issue is they truly love that person. I can honestly say that I have loved people that I was willing to overlook a whole bunch of things. But eventually, after years of being kicked and told that I was worthless and told that I couldn't do anything right and disrespected and just nothing ever changing, and then whenever I brought it up that I was done, that I was emotionally shattered, the people around me, one, either didn't believe me or didn't listen to me, and then two, the person that I told this to said, well, I'm ready to go to counseling. Well, rewind 4.5 years before, I wanted to go to counseling, and they refused, saying that there was nothing wrong and that we weren't going to counseling. And I begged and begged and begged and begged and begged, and they refused to listen. Well, suddenly, after I was done, they wanted to go through counseling and stuff. And it's kind of like the thief that got caught. They're sorry they got caught, but they're not sorry for what they did. So, I was willing to overlook a lot of things, but eventually I came to the conclusion that I had gone as far as I could go, and I was shattered and I was broken, and I could not do this anymore. And I realized that it was just a cycle and a revolution of things that was never going to change. And I couldn't do it anymore. I was tired of being kicked. I was tired of being abused. I was tired of being emotionally and verbally castrated. I was tired of being disrespected. And at some point, you have to realize that love was only going to carry you so far. And if that person isn't willing to change, all the love that you have for them is not going to fix this. The other thing is fear of losing the children. And let me just say that I'm in this situation that I'm in. Being honest, I haven't seen my kids since March, and that is to protect myself, because the person that I'm with, or the person, let me rephrase that, the person I'm married to, not the person I'm with, still in that mindset, but the person I'm married to has a position where if the kids end up with a bruise or a bump or whatever, given that person's state of mind, I'm afraid that I would end up being labeled an abuser, and I don't want to do that. So by fault of my own and by her choice, she told me not to come back. I've distanced myself. So, fear of losing your children is a very, very real thing. And I love my kids, and I love the cat that the kids have and everything. But you have to choose between self-preservation and protecting yourself and your kids, because if you're put into a situation where that person has control over you, they can say anything, do anything, and you being a man, the courts are going to believe them, not you, because that's the way our justice system is, unfortunately. There's not a lot of protection for men. So, losing the kids is a very real fear, and I understand that. And then, another fear is starting over. So I'm almost 42 years old. I never thought at this stage in my life that I was going to have to start over, but here I am. And, I had a discussion with an insurance agent today, and I said, I never thought at my age that I was going to have to go through this again, but I am. And, I didn't realize how challenging it is. You think that starting over, well, you just kind of pick up the pieces. And well, sometimes there's no pieces to pick up. Sometimes you have to start over, basically from nothing. And that is literally what I'm doing. I've got a skillet and one pot, and I've got a bunch of Tupperware, 3 pieces, and I've got paper plates and plastic cups, and an air mattress that I sleep on, and literally I am starting over from nothing. So, the fear of starting over is a very, very real fear, but you just have to find out get the things that you need to get going, and then just start doing it. Making sure that you go to work every day, making sure that you're busting your butt, making sure you're making money, making sure that you're doing what you have to do to survive. I'm cooking carrots, broccoli, and I've got some pasta salad and some chicken. So, I'm trying to eat appropriately and eat healthy. So, and then if I could say the last one is when your confidence has been destroyed completely. And I can honestly say that in the beginning, my confidence has been destroyed, and there's some days I struggle with it because of the emotional and verbal damage that has been done to me, not by the person that is the mother of my children, but by other people that I have written about, not mentioned directly, but situations and circumstances that I've written about in my books, Behind the Silence and Rebuilding After the Storm. It's not easy to overcome verbal abuse. It's not easy to overcome emotional abuse. It's not easy to overcome years of being told that you're worthless, and being told that you're stupid, and being told that you don't work hard enough, or you don't clean right, or you don't do anything right, or being told that you need to do this, this, and this without any end in sight. Constant criticism, constant complaining, constant negativity that just washes over you like tar and just paralyzes you. That confidence, I must say, is probably one of the hardest things to get back, because if people in your life are if you're on your own like I am, there's nobody on my side. I've got nobody other than the people I work with, and I love the people I work with. They're wonderful. They're great. They've been so kind and so supportive and so understanding, and I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful to the person that I have in my life now. Is very encouraging and very uplifting. And I'm very grateful for that. But when your confidence has been destroyed, I mean, it can hit you at various times, especially whenever you are, starting over, especially whenever you're just trying to get through your day at work or whatever. Sometimes that confidence, getting that confidence booster, sometimes can be the most needful and hard thing for you to find. Emotional abuse, verbal abuse, these things just don't happen overnight. It happens gradually, kind of like erosion. Eventually the topsoil goes away, and then the roots give way, and then the trees give way, and then eventually you've got a giant hole in the middle of your life that is just there, and it sucks you in. Leaving a relationship isn't just walking away. It's rebuilding your entire life. It's rebuilding the way you think, the way you do, the way you speak. It's rebuilding everything that you are. And if this resonates with you, if this hits home with you, I want you to know right now, you are not alone. You are with people, men, if there are men out there that are going through this very same thing, I want you to know you're not alone. I'm right there with you. There's thousands of men out there right now that are in the same predicament you are. And ladies, not leaving you out, but ladies, don't ever give up. Always remember one thing, and this resonates for men and women. You can't control everything that has happened. You can't control everything that's going to happen. But what you can do is control yourself. You can start eating healthy. You can start taking care of yourself. You can start taking care of the place that you're living in. You can better yourself. You can start reading books. You can start watching podcasts. You can start rebuilding and reshaping your life and reshaping your mind and helping yourself become that version of yourself that you've always wanted to be. I've always wanted to write books. And people always mock me. Well, you've got a learning disability, or you've got this, or you've got that. And I realized that these people did not care about me. They did not want me to succeed. They did not want me to better myself. They did not want me to bring light to their dysfunction and their hurts and their problems. Because, if somebody around you rises up and becomes better than you, you shouldn't tear that person down. You should encourage them and say, "Hey, keep going," or "Hey, I see that you're going down a direction that I want to go myself. How did you get here?" Teamwork, as they say, makes the dream work. And that is so true. If we work together as a team, if we help each other through text messages and these podcasts and stuff, we can make our dreams come true, because I have dreams, you have dreams, we all have dreams together. And my dreams may not be your dreams, and your dreams definitely aren't my dreams. But if we work together to help our dreams come true, to help each other, to pull each other up and encourage one another, we can make a difference in each other's lives. So let me just say, if this hits home with you, if this resonates with you, I just want to remind you one more time, you're not alone. And I encourage you, get strong mentally, get strong physically, and get strong in your heart. So Midwest Survivor for Dinner Chat, you all have a great day. Stay strong, stay positive, and always remember, don't give up, don't give in, and remember, you can only do what you can do. You can't control everything. Have a great night. Enjoy your night. Take care.